happen. Also, I need to change the position of the microphone. I am way too laid back here. And it isn't really necessary this time around. My god. Anyways, let me see. YouTube, are you working? Yeah. 17 seconds ago? Amazing. We are 17 seconds late. We're gonna be late to the tea party. No, no. Copy this. Discord. Here. I have a realization. I used at some point in my life to say that I didn't really want to study anything related to philosophy, to psychology, yet here we are. This is the reality in which we enter. Somehow, there is a proper expression. There is something that has to do with you recognizing, encountering the thing that you are avoiding somehow, like what's the principle? There is like a there is an idea that works here that operates in this sense. Not, I don't think it's a law of reversed effort. I am not talking about that. None of these are really what I'm looking for. Like, probably to some degree, you know, really, I heard a lot of that guy from that guy directly, so can be that I'm influenced by what he said at some point, unavoidably, perhaps. That's an understandable enough origin, but not what I am really aiming at. In terms of when it happens, also, can you shut up? The whole notion of basically there are different orders, magnitudes of things that you have going on in your existence, and some of them you're going to willingly go towards. Some other you will almost need to be forced to arrive at them, and in that whole combination, basically, I found out that we are here because I somehow wanted this the least at some other point in my existence. I don't think, I'm not even trying to compare it and say that, yeah, this means that every single time that anything that happens comes through, because in your existence there are things that at a previous point in life you said, yeah, you know what, I don't want this thing, and now you're finally being capable of going for it, in so to speak, you know, that whole, there is a notion that exists around the aspect of you have the capacity to finally admit that you want something, and only once you get to be in that position, then you can enjoy the pleasure, basically, of saying, ah, yeah, I am doing something related to this thing. But if that tries to happen, if that tries to occur while you're not ready to, so to speak, you're not ready to let the thing which you at a lower consciousness level want, and you have to deal with the whole aspect of, wow, surprisingly I cannot really directly let this thing influence me. I can try to do some stuff related to its existence, but I cannot so much let it be present. Okay, until that gets fixed, the person will always have some struggles, basically. That's a basic notion, but not exactly what I'm aiming at. Anyway, let me open there so that we have at least some noise. Yes, I don't really know. You know what could be great? If I added Tiny, what do we have? We have in the current screen that you are seeing, the bottom right corner, almost empty. I mean, we have the gif of the potato dancing. Wow, is that really enough? I don't think so. But yeah, we have a new Iceland, basically. Also, I don't know, I kind of fear going online. I didn't realize that last time. But the whole aspect of going online is quite negative in a sense. To try to go online just to have it crash later on is quite bad actually. But anyways, it's not really that bad. Let me... Where is the music coming from? Here. Is it environmental? Yeah, there is nothing that I can do to make it louder, so there is also nothing that I can do to make it lower. That's my point in this case. So we have music, basically. Good enough. Let me start here. Oh, okay, there we go. Can I? No, I cannot sit there. Okay. I can, there we go. Anyways, we have background music. Besides that, what else do I need to do? Let me finish setting stuff up. I am forgetting the yeah, a very crucial step, very necessary aspect. Let me open this thing on phone. This here, copy this here, move it. Where is it? Here. Open this thing, paste this thing here, and this here. Okay, we have it. Now we have everything that we could ever need, basically. Supposedly, implying, like, yeah. Also, I remember something that happened like some time ago. A person came and said something along the lines of, "Welcome, overseas Vtuber. I am a Japanese Vtuber." And it was, in itself, it wasn't anything like bad, but I think I have seen the very same guy, or at least the very same format of messaging pop up continuously throughout time. It's crazy to realize that, yeah, somehow that's the norm. Somehow, like, I don't know, something along the lines of what happens when you're streaming. You almost always have bots appearing. Probably something like that. Probably. Who knows? Anyways, good morning. Here we are for yet another instance of pick. Today, if everything goes well, we should be capable of winning. It's not the same as yesterday in a sense, in a particular sense. Not entirely guaranteed. I hope it is somewhat different, but I don't truly think it's gonna be all that different. In a way, I'm still hoping for things to be good enough so that we don't actually have to struggle that much. Depends quite a lot. We will see. Anyways, let me here. There we go. This. Here we are. Wow. Basically, yeah. Point is, why are we actually playing big? Why are we here? What's the point of being here? The reality is, we are doing this for the sake of trying to... I never won, and I want to win at some point in my existence. I want to win a run, and I don't really think it is necessary to do this, but it's better than nothing, as always. where I want to see how much we can actually try to win. It's something about the whole aspect, of I don't really feel like I have to try, but in the end, I also feel quite strange when I know that I have this thing that I want to accomplish and I don't truly do anything to make sure that it happens. Okay, in this case, winning in peak might as well be the same as this. Not exactly the same, but similar enough, so we can use it as a comparison, so to speak. So yeah, point is, we're going to try to make sure that we can perhaps today accomplish a win. I don't want to overextend this thing. I'm not intentionally bad. I am realistically bad. Let's say I am way too bad about myself. I'm not trying to lose. Yeah, I just still need to understand how to play this, and so yeah. We're gonna see basically how it goes. That's the point. Try to win. That's the goal of this game. So that's what we are going to try to do us. Yeah, anyway. Besides that, I don't know. It has been a very interesting day actually. I have found myself in a very interesting, no, I wouldn't say any kind of a special position, but unavoidably different enough place to actually find new ideas. Sometimes I think almost always I find myself when I have to think out the stuff, let's say it like that, yeah, I find that it is complicated to actually do or think out much differences. And after, in this case, finally getting the opportunity to take advantage of the fact that, yeah, we can actually try in one way or another to take a break, basically. There is an incredibly simple notion when it comes to creative work and whatnot, and that is, in many cases, after doing the things that you have been doing in itself for a long enough period of time, you should always try to make sure that you take a break. And even if it is unintentional, after having done that today, I found finally a lot of things actually. There is always a lot of work to be doing. It's not particular to only today. It always occurs. Let me phrase it like this. One of the fundamental aspects of the mind is the capacity to evaluate and realize that there are so many things that you can always be trying to further comprehend. But the problem is it doesn't become apparent by itself. There are some things that need to happen in order for this success to occur, so to speak. And yeah, I felt that unavoidably, surprising enough, there are a handful of things of that same quality here, in terms of somehow I got to reduce the whole load and whatnot, and that made me, yeah, I guess you can say it progress. It's not exactly an accurate description, but close enough, basically. It's good enough for us, basically. So yeah, that's my point. I feel like, and having done that, now I can say today I feel like unavoidably, surprisingly enough, it's great enough. It was useful enough. Conscious break, conscious separation from everything else. Can I use this? Like, hola, buenas. No, sorry. Hello. Oh, casi. You're doing very well. To ruin the vibes. Don't worry, there is nothing to ruin. I mean, okay, no. There is one way to ruin them. You have bad news. Otherwise, there is nothing to really ruin. Don't worry about it. There is this game is horrible enough by itself to try to ruin it in any other substantial way. Don't worry, don't worry. Yeah, but no, yeah. I wasn't really saying much, simply reflecting out the nature of, yeah, sometimes it's useful to actually take time to think out the stuff. That's the whole point that I was so far making. Also, should take this, yeah. And I don't know, I was basically saying, quickly summarizing, that one of the funny things that happens in most cases is always the encounter of it. And when I am trying to think out the stuff, I also consciously have to separate myself from the ideas that I'm trying to have. It's useful to do that. Is this a good mushroom? Probably. And doing so today has led to some useful results, I feel like, unavoidably. So I'm happy for that. Also, no, wait. I have a question. I have a question. It's just no. That I am creep farming. That was all intentional. I wasn't even remotely close to dying, for sure. That was actually way too close even for me. So yeah. Ancient lights. What the fuck is this? Anti-rope spool. Amazing! This thing floats upwards. This is so amazing! Great! Okay, I see. Also, can I actually go over here? Do I need to take a different route? Something tells me that this isn't the correct place to go toward us. No, right? Yeah, no. It isn't here. Something tells me. What is that? Mushrooms. No, from here. Where do I actually go? I think I was close to somewhere, but I got anxious and I ended up ruining it. Can happen. Don't you ever do that in your whole life? Don't you ever, for the sake of rushing things, end up missing what you were trying to accomplish? And set yourself back a couple of seconds? I think, what the fuck? Why am I sliding? Why am I sliding anyways? Got a little bit poison. Nothing that really can kill me. Whatever. I was saying. Point being that, yeah, one of the interesting things of getting to finally take a little bit of time to finally it's not a reevaluation. Okay, there is a particular notion always existent in these kind of conversations where it is you have to reevaluate your priorities. Not exactly that. I think I understand what my priorities are, so I am not exactly asking myself if I am doing the right thing, the thing that I like and the thing that I want to do and what's not. I know something well enough so that I don't feel bad out not doing anything, let's say like that. But in itself, I don't truly have to wonder so much out the whole rationale, so to speak, of is this truly? Also, can I actually reach a place in which I can stay still here? No? Here. Okay, there we go. Saying was that, yeah, one of the things that happens is not so much of a reevaluation, but rather the conscious emptiness or allowance to get to finally encounter those things that otherwise do not surface unless you're finally letting your own brain, let's say, work more passively, and in doing so, in this case, I think almost always that leads to great results. The issue is, it always feels to some degree bad. I don't really want to take so much time out of my progression towards things, I feel like I am doing great enough. So I don't truly think I need so much to therefore take time in any significant enough manner to accomplish something different or to go for something else. I am doing well enough as I am currently, and the notion itself of a break might sound, it always carries with it the veil of this isn't exactly the best thing to do. You could, instead of taking a break or something, be finding another way to approach the same situation. There is perspectives and whatnot. You can always find a new perspective to approach this thing from, and that whole message is always present to a degree to which one, even if they don't want to do so much actively, will end up thinking that, yeah, you know what, today you're gonna have almost nothing happen so that I can later on do something. The nature of progress observed as that is not so widely accepted, let's say. So yes, it wasn't literally here before. What? Is there anywhere to actually go towards here? No. No. Okay. I have no clue where I have to go from here then. I have the cigarette thing. I could actually use that, probably. Otherwise, it feels like the way is somewhere around here? No way. I have no clue, man. I am lost and I don't think I'm going to find the proper direction to go towards. Can happen. Sometimes it happens. Good enough. But yeah, anyways, I was saying that the strangeness is the realization that you have that possibility to calm down, and on the opposite end, the unwillingness to do so, because in the end, it is a well enough established, not a fact in terms of, yeah, this is absolutely true, but an idea that gets said and repeated enough times to actually be taken as true, that yeah, you cannot ever take a day out or a second to think out what should be happening and what should be the next event and such. But once you can actually ignore that, and once it actually occurs that the mind is allowed to do its work, there are things to actually encounter over there, and it is fantastic to see that, yeah, progress keeps occurring, even if not exactly at the pace that one could want, but that sort of begs the question of which kind of pace is exactly the appropriate one in terms of, am I really interested in healthy progress, or am I just immersed in the conversation about progress that exists so much around me and whatnot? And holy shit. And all of those things that have a lot more to do with, I am not really being myself, I am just replicating what I hear for the sake of not having to worry out failing, so to speak, to be a quote-unquote proper person and such. So, after that separation, I found out that, yeah, today stuff kept happening in a functional enough manner to actually say that, wow, it was all meaningful, actually. It was all amazing. And that, yes, I feel like it's always strange to try to talk about it to some degree, because I don't truly understand how I need to take a break. In many cases, I don't truly feel like I have to take a break. Yet, in doing so, I encounter that I keep on doing the same things that I was trying to achieve otherwise. Anyways, so much of what one wishes to do and one wishes to accomplish being painted as impossible unless you are 24/7 submerged in trying to make them occur, basically. So that whole conversation being changed, even if by reality itself still feels weird to have in any meaningful manner. Like I don't know, can I really say that I am so happy, that I am so glad that I have done that? In the moment, it doesn't really feel like something that you should be even. The whole concept of taking pride and stuff and whatnot, you shouldn't even really be thinking about it as something positive. It is, by default, it always carries a negative connotation, so it takes a while to finally then be capable of saying, doesn't really seem to be that bad, actually. It was, in this case, yeah, it was great. And anyways, let me reach the checkpoint. That will take a second. And finally say what I was aiming towards. Yeah. Good enough. How much time did this thing take? It would be amazing if you had something like a clock that could. It would make sense, anyways, in terms of inside of the game, to have something that allows you to know how much you have actually spent in the island and whatnot, so that you can later on analyze how you did and such. It's natural enough, I feel like. Also, why am I capturing my notepad? I know, but I am not exactly capturing this. I have no clue why sometimes. Oh yes, it's such a fun application. Anyways. Wait. You. What do you have with you, my man? Do you have the Book of Bones? What is this? What? Me when I'm tempted. It looks so bad. We only have one way. I have become a skeleton for some reason. The question is, what does this thing actually do? Great question. Only God knows. Do I take no fall damage? I don't want to kill myself just to prove a point. I almost did, anyways. Whatever. I was saying basically that, yeah. One of the funny things then ends up being that in the moments of relaxation, you encounter so many other aspects that have remained until then unconnected, and mostly in the form of all those notions that you knew to some degree you could think about before. You always, there is something annoying out trying to reach understanding out of stuff, and that is, in many cases, once you finally get to make sense out of things, you realize, I could have understood this so much earlier. I do so now, and that is great, but I didn't really need to spend this much time trying to reach this conclusion. I could have done better, and there is always, therefore, a degree of contemplation related to how I have to not be so judgmental about how rapidly I do or do not progress. But once that can finally occur, it becomes possible to say, okay, then that means that many of the things that happened, that are happening right now, are meaningful enough. Also, This is the perfect run, actually. We have a chain launcher, we have bandages. This is so great. Let me apply this, let me take this. What do we have over here? Energy drink. Let me drink this. I have a question. What happens if I try to grab this thing? I can also not do that. I can like shoot myself over here. You know what? Take me over here. I wanna see what happens. I am actually not capable of being poisoned. Am I? No, I can keep thumping on these things. Oh. Isn't that great actually? Like I can try to do platforming. Something tells me it's not that much of a great idea actually. What the fuck? What's that? What do you mean? What do you mean? Where are you leading me? There is no other place to go. Okay. So how do I even progress here? Exactly then. Holy shit. That was so unnecessarily close. Okay. What do I even do then? How do I get up from here? That's the question. Can I go around the thing here? I sort of can. Okay. There we go. But I cannot take this route because there is literally nowhere to go from here. I have to throw myself down. I have to accept my destiny. Amazing! Don't you love the fucking Book of the Bones? Ay, ay, ay. Anyways, time to try again. Close enough. Understandable. Understandable. I was saying anyways that yeah, one of the realizations that came with that whole space given to, in this case now only myself, it has to do with and you know what? It actually is quite possible to find a lot of things that you can always be thinking about. The problem becomes to understand how do you even want that to happen, because in a way the norm becomes that yeah, you don't truly need to be thinking about anything. So it's a strange situation to realize that I can actually try to identify some things, but after getting to do that, the point is after getting to do that, after finally reaching a thing that you're interested in, I saw something very much, I think it is quite heavily related with what I mentioned last time. Quickly summarizing what I'm trying to reference, there was this notion associated with I myself tend to, in many cases, not be capable of possessing something that I want to do myself. I can only act in accordance to what others can determine for me matters, and because this becomes the case, because I let this happen to me, I end up encountering in most occasions that I actually become bound to those desires, not exactly that just exist in other people, but also that have something to do with my unwillingness to choose something. Okay, there is another layer to that same idea I found out once again when thinking about it. That is also I can like sometimes realize what I want, but the problem is the thing that I want isn't really what I truly have an interest on. There is a problem, an even bigger problem of we have a huge tradition for setting things as desirable and even ourselves speaking out them as interesting without understanding that we don't really want to do anything with them ourselves. We don't really have an actual interest in accomplishing things by interacting with those parts of our reality, so to speak, you know? And it is strange to see it happen in the sense in which it does, because unavoidably you would have expected that I wasn't going to be so bound by these notions, I wasn't going to be so bound by these aimless wishes, so to speak, and that's not really the case. The event that actually goes on is sometimes I decide to wish something, to wish for something, to have in mind a certain desire, yes, but this desire comes with the added weight of it being something that I myself don't truly care for. I know it exists, I know I can aim for it, but it doesn't truly mean that I myself have any kind of interest on that thing. I only focus on the desire itself, so to speak. I have the possibility of speaking about my desire with other people who also can tell me that they desire the same handful of things. Like, the reflection goes along the lines of sometimes I encounter that I want things that I don't really care about, and I have things that I don't really need to have, simply because I have allowed myself quite a lot to say that I care about something that I have heard other people say they care about. And in the whole conversation of, yeah, this is so important for all of us, I started to include, adopt, and now also replicate this desire, but not for the thing that I care about. Not for the thing in itself, but only for what I have heard others describe as interesting and describe as useful and whatnot. And then, because of that, it happens that, yeah, a lot of... Unavoidably, the easiest equation is always a lot of frustrations come forward, because I tend to then naturalize so much interest in things that I don't actually want. I instill on myself a degree of displeasure which I never needed, but because I also wasn't willing to not want something, in the necessity to have a wish of sorts, of any sort, I end up now pursuing this thing that I don't actually care about. But in doing so, I also surround myself with others who they themselves sound like they care about this thing, so I can mimic that quality of theirs in a convincing enough manner to make it look like I am in the same wavelength, so to speak. The notion will go along the lines of some days I don't really progress because I have understood anything myself. I progress because I tell you what you have already shown me in terms of you have given me the possibility of understanding what it means to care for something. Therefore, I can also tell you that I care for a thing in that way. It's the eternal exercise of the not the eternal exercise, the basic equation that you encounter in things like what you have when you go to basically, school, when you go to your very first grades and such, when you are being for the very first times tested, and you have to start showing that you actually understand. And one of the best ways to do that is to also replicate what everyone else does. And in some cases, you replicate something without actually having in yourself the understanding about what you care for. So it can very easily end up happening that I tell you that I have an interest for something that you also have shown me you have, simply so that we can avoid any further conversation about a true desire of mine. I don't desire I myself something, but I tell you that I do, so that you don't have to bother about us trying to find for me a thing of interest. That's... Is this a good mushroom? Yeah. It seems to be the case. So, in that whole analysis, in that whole idea and whatnot, I found myself that, yeah, I feel like sometimes, or no, I don't really try to do it myself. I try to actually go on quite the opposite direction. Unavoidably, it is great to know what you want. So, in trying to actually have something of my own self, not for the sake of uniqueness, but rather for the... It's a dangerous word to some extent, but this is still the most accurate one, because it has to do with that. Basically, the whole aspect of you, of... Where did I throw myself towards, like... I pretty much can see how to fall towards here. Okay, true. At least I understand how the most basic part of this game of platforming works. Basically enough to be capable of navigating, climbing the at least first layer. But yeah, anyways, I was saying. And I don't know, I feel like it sadly is taken as acceptable that, yeah, you will have these things that you don't really care about, and you will say that you do, and you will replicate and show everyone else that you are in tune with desiring, not because you truly desire something yourself, but simply because you do not want to not be told that you are like everyone else, quote unquote, properly desiring. So, in the competition for that, it ends up happening that I might as well be harming my actual objective by, or my possibility, let's say like this, yeah, my possibility to reach any objective of my own character ends up being damaged because I don't acquire something through my own methods. I simply declare that I want something so that you... I remember at a previous stage in my life, I said something similar to, I tell you that I have something that matters to me so that you don't have to worry. Not only that, but also the whole aspect of, I tell you that I have something that I want because I can also very easily convince myself that I want that thing instead of still having to deal with the issue of not wanting anything by my own, out of my own volition, so to speak, you know? So, in that equation then, it happens that, yeah, sadly, sometimes it's quite impossible to fully trust any response that you get, any notion of this sort that you encounter, because in the end you almost never can completely know if what you are now going towards. No, okay, it's to a certain degree difficult to be capable of doing that. I wouldn't say it is entirely impossible, I just believe it is hard enough. Merely based on the reality that, yeah, I myself have way too much to lose when I confront the reality of I fell for a desire that I don't truly want, for a hope that I don't truly have, and such. There we go. There we go, and next thing is, okay, I will need to actually explore that thing from a completely different perspective. The Book of Bones, yet again? What's the point of this book? I need a guide or something to actually understand in which situation do you actually want to take this thing with you. Under which circumstances you say, ah yeah, you know what, I have the Book of Bones on my hands. The run is saved now. The only thing I can think about is probably related to the whole aspect of, ah yeah, now I can more easily deal with enemies. Like, I don't have aggro on me because the enemies are ignoring me. That's the only thing that I can believe happens thanks to that book, but besides that I cannot see anything else being the case. But whatever. I like how you can hold here. Okay. Yeah, you can hold to the rock and see how much the raining environment difficults your going upwards, actually. Here, I came here, and after coming here, where did I go? Towards here, I think, yeah. I only want the special box. That's the only thing that I care for. Let me get over here. Oh no. It's heavier than this. There we go. Here. I need to. Okay, here. This thing. A big lollipop. Portable stove. Sports drink. That's not really that great. One full. Question becomes then where to try to go. If this isn't the right direction, I have to go towards a different place. So, where? I have got curiosity. What happens if I shoot here? I think this place, all of this is meaningless. What matters is probably that direction. I think. Like, let me see. Yeah, that path seems to be better. What was that noise? What the fuck? I thought something fell off, but nothing fell off, so only God knows. Let me eat this thing. And also I am full of sugar as now, great. Let me drink this thing. Let me... Ah. This thing. Ah, okay, I can save some stuff. Let me save this. Let me save this. And that's how I lost more than half of my bar thanks to fucking sugar. Amazing. So the question is, how do I get down there without killing myself? Can I... I can move. There we go. Okay. You really cannot slide across the vines? What? Who made this game? Why don't I let you slide across the vines? Like any reasonable game would. Also, I love this waterfall placed directly in the worst place ever. Oh my god. I don't know if I should be down here so much. And also I forgot to take the lantern with me. So, if anything bad happens, it is entirely my fault. Can I rest over here? No. Okay, here, great. What is that thing? That's something. Fuck. Okay, I think I have an idea. This. Yeah. But now I can do this. Amazing. Okay, here we are. Holy shit! I mean, unavoidably it has color to indicate poisonous plant. Wow. But I wasn't really expecting it to be one like... And all of it is the worst poison, like the school kind of poison, so... yeah. Anyways, this is the right direction then. The four rises. Where do I go from here? I thought I knew, but I don't really think I do. Did I poison myself with that? No, seems to not have been the case. Good enough.